I hit the Dairy Queen a lot on like Saturdays, yeah. So I did it for that, but now it's like, I kind of like, it's not as sweet. You still get like that like tang of the coffee, but it brings it down just a little bit, just enough.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because espressos are hitters. You ever just taken an espresso shot?
Just an espresso shot? I've done it a few times. It's like, bro.
It lights you up.
Yeah, dude, coffee is one of those things though that I'm like, I drink it and like I'm sure it's affecting me, but like I'm unaware of it. Like until I don't do anything and I drink it, then I feel it. Because I feel like
I'm the opposite.
Really?
I feel like because I didn't start drinking coffee till after I'd already been drinking like Monsters and pre-workout and stuff. So like, I feel like my body is more used to like synthetic caffeine. So I can like just 350 milligrams, like full like high stemmed pre to the dome. And like, I mean, I'm up.
Yeah.
But like if I have like a double shot of espresso, it's like 150.
Yeah.
And I'm like zooting.
It's like
yeah, I'm alive.
You're on.
Yeah.
It's like, ah!
Yeah, coffee just hits me way harder.
Really? That's so
weird.
interesting.
Yeah, but I have like a theory about coffee. So you ever notice how, like, okay, so the so-called safe limit for caffeine on a daily basis, 400 milligrams, right?
Yeah.
Without effects, whatever.
Yeah.
And so if you think about it though, so like my grandpa, never in my life, all I've seen him drink, coffee,
Yeah.
and an occasional beer.
Uh-huh. Not the most hydrating of
No.
things to drink,
But I mean, no, live a long life, you know? And it's like, back in the day before energy drinks and stuff, like that's what people drank, was just coffee and water. And they drink coffee all day long. People live forever. It's like, I feel like the limit of caffeine for like safety level is more like synthetic caffeines. Like I feel like if you get it from like tea or like from a coffee bean, I feel like it doesn't, I don't know. I just feel like it doesn't have so much effect on like your heart as far as like negative wise goes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's
So that's
interesting speculation.
yeah.
I don't know.
So like if I'm at like my 350 for the day and I'm like, can't fit another energy drink in, coffee might do.
Yeah,
Hey, if I'm really, really dragging in a day, but I do stay under like the 400 for most of the time.
Oh yeah. I've never like cared to measure it. Like So to be honest, I've had like a Monster maybe one time, and that's like the most of energy drinks that I've ever drank.
I've been around.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like, it's one of those things that like I'd drink one if I needed to, but I've got coffee, you know.
Yeah, I just my family wasn't like coffee drinkers, like my parents weren't. So they never made
Yeah.
So the only time I would even ever be around coffee was at my grandpa's house, and he drank it 98% black. So you know, tasting it one time, I was
like I don't want this stuff.
Hard pass. Yeah, get out of here.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Just a theory I have.
When did you start drinking energy drinks? Just like high school or college, that kind of thing?
Oh, I could say I probably had the original green Monster. I was probably like 12.
12. Okay.
Yeah.
So it was like middle school.
Yeah, I was probably like 12. Yeah.
Okay.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Original Monsters, those are bad for you. I'm not gonna lie, those are not good for you.
Oh, I believe that.
Those are wild.
You ever had one of those like Monster like coffees? You ever seen those at gas stations?
Those are really good.
Are they?
Yeah, they have like 50 grams of sugar in them. But they're really good. They're really good.
You want some sugar and some caffeine?
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, they'll get you going. They sell them in like the really big ones. I'm like, whoever bought that, you're having a heart attack. You're done.
It's like,
yeah.
How big is it? Like this big?
It's like, have you ever seen the ones where instead of like the pull tab, it has like the screw top on it?
No.
They're like, so what's the wrong one? 16. I think they're double. They're like 30. They're like 38 ounces, I think, like 32, 38 ounces.
Huh.
Yeah, and they have like an actual like screw top cap on them. Yeah.
Huh.
You pop and it's like.
Whoa.
Like, oh yeah, oh yeah.
Like I'm gonna get some energy.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah.
They're good.
That's awesome. I mean, I don't know if it's like awesome, but it's
probably not good for you. It's probably not. You'd be alright.
Heart attack in a bottle.
Yeah, you'd be alright though.
Heart attack in a bottle. Yeah. So you went you went to college for what exactly? 'Cause I think I know you told me before. But
Yeah.
Like,
So it's basically exercise science.
exercise science. Okay.
But it's like UC has like two different tracks you can go exercise science. So one is more like medical field based, and I was like, not where I'm wanting to go, like not like my plan.
Yeah.
So that one was what like they actually consider exercise science, and like, or if you don't want to go medical field, they're like, this is like the same thing but more like gym based type, and like actually training people
Okay.
type.
So like the more
And
hands-on.
yeah.
I mean, I guess medical.
Yeah, but like most of the medical kids that like exercise, that was basically their undergrad before they went to masters for like PT.
Yeah.
Is
okay.
basically what that track was.
That makes sense.
So my not my master's, my degree, 4 year. My degree is health promotion and education, specializing in exercise and fitness, is what
Okay.
it's considered. Yeah,
But it's
a
basically
lot of words for
exercise
yeah.
science. Okay.
Yeah. But it was, you take like most of the same classes except for like once they got to like senior year, they would go over to like med campus, and I would stay on normal campus and do more like lab type classes. Like doing like body fat caliper measurements.
Okay.
Yeah, actually like getting into the gym and doing some of that
Yeah.
stuff.
That's
Compared to when they would go over and they would do like more like PT style stuff, like working on like angle of joint movements and stuff like that, and assessing different like mobility type things.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they would split you up that way.
Mhm.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
really cool. That's fascinating.
Yeah, and then my track also had another way, which because like, so like once you split into this track, they were like, okay, so we have health promotion specializing in exercise and fitness, or health promotion specializing in it was like general health or something like that, public health.
Public health.
That sounded terrible. That was like starting like at least for me, there was like a lot of people who wanted to work in like alcohol abuse clinics and stuff like that.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Which isn't the direction that you wanted to go.
Yeah, not the, I was like, screw it this way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, not for me. Couldn't do that. That just sounded boring. Yeah, so I went exercise way, and then, but I also got a minor when I was at UC, University of Cincinnati. So I went, got my minor in nutrition. Just kind of always like wanted to know like what to do.
Yeah. That's cool.
Studied a lot of it for like my own training, so I was like, oh, let's actually get like some formal studying of it.
Yeah, actually get like a minor in it.
Yeah, actually get it like on the resume.
Yeah. That's cool.
I mean, minors aren't as great as like a double major, but
No, but
still no.
it's something.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
great.
It still shows at least I've learned about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've at least done some studying.
Yeah, I've at least been there. Took like a test. Passed like carbs, protein, fats. No. Yeah.
Okay.
Those classes were fun though.
Yeah. The nutrition ones.
Yeah, they were. Some of them. One kind of sucked. That was like, but it was important. Like if I ever had a client that got pregnant, it was called like life cycle nutrition. So it literally went from nutrition of birth, and then as the semester progressed, we went through.
That's really cool.
Yeah, we went through like basically female life cycle, because like, yeah, female life cycle. So we went through, and yeah, so females getting pregnant and stuff like that. Like when we were there, I was like, kind of boring, but I guess there's somebody to know as well as like elderly nutrition and like how that stuff changes. So it was different, but the best class was on Wednesday nights. I would go over to, this was the one time I went to med campus. Had nothing to do with med though. Went to med campus, went into a lab. It was a cooking lab.
A cooking lab.
I literally went in and there was like, it was a full out kitchen in all four corners.
Wow.
And it was like nutrition for athletic performance. And it was FC Cincinnati's nutritionist, so Cincinnati's professional soccer team.
Really?
Their nutritionist taught the course. And she came in and she's like, basically, you guys are going to come in. I'm going to give you like 9 words of notes that you have to remember. And besides that, I'm basically just going to teach you a new like healthy recipe each week, and we're going to like explore like
That's really cool.
like different from like Spanish food to Italian food to like Greek food, and it's really cool. Like just kind of expose me to new
Yeah, like, just
ideas of how to
different-
explore like through eating healthy and keeping it mixed up, because things get boring, you know, eating the
Yeah.
exact same thing.
Yeah, that's
So
very true.
yeah, it just adds a little flair in there while still keeping it healthy. So
Yeah.
that class was fun though. Plus, it was free dinner every night. We always had leftovers.
I
She
mean,
did.
I mean, if you're paying for college,
Yeah. Well, it's not
you're
really
paying
free,
for it.
but yeah. I mean, and then she'd always tell us, she'd be like, "You guys are making way more than you eat, so bring Tupperware because I don't want to throw it away. You guys just take it home."
Man.
Like that.
It's
And
like, dude, yeah.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't I take
yeah,
it?
and then at the end of every week, we would look at the stuff and be like, "Okay, is this going to expire the next week? Okay, are we going to use it in the material?" And she's like, "No," and she'd be like, "All right, well, somebody take it home." So we just clear out
Wow.
the fridges.
Wow.
Yeah, it was kind of nice. That was a good class.
Huh.
Yeah.
Huh. And something you said before about the like life cycle of nutrition. What is like the biggest difference between like someone who's like younger versus someone who's older, like the nutrition that they have to have, if you remember? I don't know.
So it can kind of vary a little bit, but a lot of times once people get older, obviously they're going to be a little bit more sedentary. So I tend to I would tend to give them more of higher protein demands, obviously, because muscle wasting tends to happen. They're going to need to focus a lot more on their micros more than their macros for the most part, because they're not going to be burning a ton of calories,
Yeah.
but they're going to be
They need
pretty
to,
deficient in vitamins most times, 'cause especially like vitamin D and stuff. They stop going outside as much.
Yeah, 'cause they're more sedentary.
Yeah,
Interesting.
working on calcium, because a lot of them, obviously, bones start to break down.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, bones. But yeah, they need higher protein demands. They're gonna have less carbohydrate demands because they're not gonna be doing any
Yeah, they're not like
much exercise.
Yeah.
And then a lot of that protein demand will normally come with fats, obviously, through, I guess, as long as they eat meat. So like if they eat meat, normally that's going to come with fats. So
yeah. Huh.
they almost go like carnivore, but add in your vegetables, add in your fruits because you need those micros. But besides that, not going to be chowing down like cups of rice because they just don't need it.
They don't need it.
Yeah.
Huh, really?
Yeah.
Really?
But you also have those people out there, like you've seen those crazy anomalies, or like people who just stayed at fitness their whole life. That like 78-year-old dude who ran a marathon or something.
You're right.
It's like, dude, that's nuts. So
It's like,
that
man
dude,
might need some carbohydrates.
yeah, that dude probably was eating carbs, you know.
Yeah.
But he's eating those like he's still probably not chomped down a bunch of rice. He's gonna eat more like gel packets, like stuff, because he needs to. His gut's probably not gonna digest as well as he gets older as well. So then he's got to take care of like his gut biome a lot more.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
This is what I do in my free time.
You like research all this stuff?
Yeah. Yeah. So
Really?
I can say honestly, most of my nutrition minor, I pretty much just already knew because, well, me wanting to compete in powerlifting. At the time, this was like right after my first competition.
Okay.
Yeah, right after my first competition, where I was dog, dude. I sucked. I sucked so bad. My conditioning was off. My nutrition was off. Everything was bad.
Everything.
Everything was bad. First competition, literally got noticed on like 5 weeks, and I was like, sure, I'm in.
That was in college?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was my sophomore year, I think. Yeah, something like that. But yeah, so, but yeah, I got interested in that, and then basically got put on to, have you ever heard of Lane Norton? So,
I think maybe you've mentioned.
so if you ever want to learn about like nutrition, Lane Norton is my personal go-to, because he's very much anti-fad and anti, if you can't prove it, if there hasn't been a study done, which studies can be misleading in ways.
Yeah.
But that's why he's very against reading just people who read like conclusion and abstract. It's like you need to read top to bottom and actually do like your thought process. Was this actually a conclusive study, or is this study already set up to bias something, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, he's just super against it, and like he's literally known on the internet as like the, like, if you post something that's like fad, if you post something that like Liver King. Remember that dude?
Yeah.
Yeah, as soon as that dude
Oh
got
my
posted
God.
up,
Yeah.
Wayne Norton, man, he's on it. He's on it.
He was
Video,
like,
video, and he calls him out on anything, everything that he says. He goes, okay, here's all my research. Where's yours? Oh, you don't have any. You're just saying this is what I do. But look, 1 year later, he gets busted for how much juice he's on.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, if you didn't already know that, you're just kind of blind.
Yeah, that's...
So, yeah, but that's like my go-to guy. He's the one who taught me proteins, fats, carbs, you know, what they're even used for to begin with. You know, what you should go for, how to figure out calories, you know, how to mess with them, how to bring them down for people who are dieting, and then people who like so-called have like wrecked metabolism, which a lot of times is from like yo-yo dieting. People who, you know, they diet down and they're like, oh, I got this weight, and then they just get the same back, and then back down, up and down, yeah. So they're just yo-yoing all over the place, so they have like so-called wrecked metabolisms. Taught me about reverse dieting, which
What does that mean?
so-called helped me. So reverse dieting is a theory. I don't know if it's actually technically proven, but it worked for me. So I can't tell you that there's like science behind this.
But you can speak from
But I can say, for me, like, I was kind of one of those, I don't want to say I was one of those people because I was young, but like I was always just kind of like a chubbier kid, like, so just literally like no matter like how like I would lose weight, but also like chubby, and then I'll get down to like really not eating much and just basically I was just starting myself looking like shit. So I'll go on and so I like found him and stuff. That's also part of like why I was looking at nutrition and figuring out how to like eat more but be leaner.
Okay.
The secret, you know, that everybody's looking for. So I found him, and he's like, you're not going to put on tons of muscle while also losing tons of fat unless you're somebody who's ridiculously obese, you know. Then it's kind of possible because you just have so much that, like, if your body's in a deficit of eating calories, it'll chew from your body. So with that, I mean, and he was like, okay, well, here's one way you can drive your calories up and keep your body weight relatively the same. So you're going to be eating a lot more so that you're more full. You're getting way more nutrients to your body, but you're not going to be getting tons of weight. And it was like, whatever you're at, figure out where your calories are, what you're eating now. And then, so your protein needs to be here. You need to eat, I go for 1 gram per pound of body weight. I know there's more scientific, like you go 2.2 per one, what is it? It's like 2.2 per 1 kilogram of lean body mass.
Yeah, where they
Which
measure
it's like,
body mass.
most people don't know their lean body mass.
Yeah, it's also like a really hard thing to
Unless you go get like a DEXA scan.
Yeah, exactly.
Or so like, okay, you know, eat your protein and then split up your fat and carbs, you know, more or less how you want to fill out the rest of your calories. And then from there, you know, you go your 1 week, you know, you weigh on under the same conditions at the same time, same day, every week kind of thing. So you're always consistent with that. Depending on what your weight did, depending on what you do. So if your weight stays the same, sick, you know, I'm going to increase my carbs by 10%. I'm going to increase my fats by 3 to 5. And then just because I run like a higher carb diet and more like moderate fat diet, and then, you know, following week, oh, look, I only gained like 0.2 pounds. 0.2 pounds. I still look the same. So I'm fine with it. Increase 10%, you know, you keep going like that. And then like if you come to a point where you come around and you gained like 2 pounds that week and you're personally not okay with that, you stick with that and you come around and it's like, oh, my body just had to get used to those calories real quick, ignite that metabolism up, at least my thoughts. I don't know how much science is behind that, but that's me, you know. And then so it comes back down. That could be water fluctuation, could be sodium fluctuation, could be the caffeine in your system, could be, you know, how long of a pee you took before that. Could be a lot of different things.
There's a lot of factors.
Yeah, but so it's like, okay, I waited that week, it came down, let's increase those calories again. I did that for like 6 to 8 month period, and I got up to, I mean, well, like right now, I eat, so for me to be 165 pounds right now, I'm eating, so on a standard, like a heavy training day, so if I come in for a leg day, you know, heavy lower body day, I'm going to eat, you know, my normal, I actually eat a little bit high on my protein just because I like to keep my macros a little bit more like even, because I was eating just way more of everything else, so I upped my protein some. So for me to be 165, meaning 100 grams of protein, and then on like a heavy training day, I'm going to eat like between 500 and 600 grams of carbs, and then like 120 grams of fat still too. So like I increased that from eating like 200 grams of carbs and like 70 grams of fat, and I increased that all the way up like just over time.
Really?
And then
so your body just had to adjust to
yeah, it's like it's pretty much like my body did go up a little bit. You are going to gain some, obviously. You're eating 2,000 calories more. You're going to gain some weight. But like if you do it in that slow increment and you don't just be like, oh, I'm gaining weight, and run and go get like 3 Big Macs and then head over and get 4 Frosties from across the street.
Yeah.
Like if you do it in a slower process, like you can get to that point where you're eating a lot more food, but you're not going to be as like, your body's going to utilize it more basically, because it's going to get used to, hey, this is what we're bringing in, and it's going to start utilizing it more.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Now again, is there like a science study behind that?
Yeah.
Yes, but there's also some science studies against it. So you have to read and figure out what you want to believe, but that's what worked for me personally.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I believe.
I think that's like one of the biggest things is whenever people are like figuring out what to eat, is like you got to figure out what actually works for you.
Yep.
And you can try different things, but you have to give it enough time to actually let it work. And I think that's the biggest problem is like yo-yo dieting, right? They try this new fad diet, and they're like, oh, maybe this will work, and then it doesn't work for them in whatever time frame they gave. Like maybe it was 2 months or 12 weeks or whatever. Whatever time frame that they try to put onto it. It didn't work for them in that time, and then what happens is they they go back down, and then they go back down. It's like just find what works for you. Try it for enough time to see if it works, and then stick with it. Like that's the biggest thing.
Yeah. So have you ever heard of Stan Efferding?
No.
So have you ever heard of the vertical diet?
Vertical diet? No. There's a lot of things I haven't heard of.
So well, it's the same guy. It's the same guy.
Same guy.
Yeah, Stan Efferding came up with what's called what he calls a vertical diet, but his thing that he says for like diets, like what works, what's right for me, blah blah blah, is something that like really to like run for me the first time was like he says it doesn't matter what is like what like this guy says, this guy says, this guy says. He says what really matters and what really counts is he says compliance is the science. What can you actually comply with on a consistent basis throughout the rest of your life? And then we make adjustments from there on calories, nutrients. He said, because if you're somebody who doesn't really like fatty foods, why would you go try to be keto? That's not going to work for you. Or if you're somebody who doesn't like fish, doesn't like, oils and olives, why would you go eat like a Mediterranean diet? Doesn't make any sense.
No.
So it's like, what do you like, And then, okay, so what's the problem in this diet? And let's slowly pull that down, bring it up, and then, once you get to a point where like you're happy with where you're at, you can add those things kind of back in here and there, and you just have more control over it. It's what can you comply with, not what's going to get me the results in this next 8 weeks. Okay, but what about the next, 400 weeks after that? What are you doing then? What are you doing then?
Exactly. Yeah.
So you gotta find what you can hang out with, what you can stick with.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's very well said. That's a good way to phrase it. Like compliant. What is it? What the science?
Compliance is the science.
That's what it is. Okay.
Yeah.
So I had it backwards.
Yeah. You made it right. It still works. It still works. Yeah.
Yeah. What was it? Sports in high school, or what was it that got you into like this?
So yes and no. So like obviously, I never even started lifting at all until freshman year of high school for football.
Okay.
So started lifting then. Was like naturally one of the stronger kids. Believe it or not, though, I was also one of like the biggest kids at the time. Like I stopped growing in 6th grade, so like I used to be like big, and then everybody then passed me. Like most of my friends, like it was like once we hit freshman year, they all finally got up there, and then they all passed me. Classic. So like I was just like the bigger, stronger kid kind of. And then so I was like, oh man, dude, I love lifting. And then as time went on, though, like sophomore year came, and then so every year our football team did this fundraiser where you go out, ask people to pledge like how much they're willing to donate per pound that you lift in what we call a lift-a-thon, which is basically a powerlifting meet.
Yeah.
You know, we go in, we hit our max squat, bench, and deadlift.
Yep.
Literally in that order too. So, so basically a powerlifting meet, and like you go and you get your pledges and stuff, and so that time, this family, they were called, their names were the Byers, and so their son had just graduated the year prior, and then but they were like really just big into like the Arcana football program. So they would come back, they would lift, and like they saw that like I was kind of stronger-ish, but I was also like mad at how like not strong I was. So they were like, hey, like you know, so you know I'm so-and-so's dad, blah blah blah, and his son was like, he was an animal, dude, just jacked, just fullback, like ran like like he was big mean fullback that was like fast too, like he ran like a 4.5 40.
Wow.
And so like he was good, and so they were like, yeah, so like obviously we trained him, like, do you want to come out and lift with us? I was like, oh yeah, for sure. Super nervous. So I show up at the house, you know, pull down there. So I'm from a small farm town.
Yeah.
So I pull down their long lane and, you know, go back, and they're like, yeah, it's in the back barn. So I open the door, I'm like, dude, all I see in here is the freaking hay trailers. What am I supposed to do with the hay wagon? And then there's like a door far back on the right with like a sign on it. I'm like, maybe it's in there. I open the door, and it's like it's a room that like, it's probably about the same square footage as this one that we're in right now, but like narrow, like a little bit more narrow, and then like longer. But dude, I walked in, and it's the guy that invited me. He was like 50. His younger brother, who was like 40. They're like two friends from high school who were like mutual friends, so they're like in their 40s, like in the middle of them, kind of. And then it was like the kid that was kid that graduated with me, he was their neighbor, so he was also part of how I got hooked up with him. So he was there, and then I was there, and I was like, that's kind of weird, like two high school kids just living with some old dudes in the barn, but whatever. And then like they're strong, and they were like jacked, like just dude, because I mean they grew up and they started bodybuilding because they read like Arnold's Encyclopedia.
Classic.
Yeah, but then so they also wanted to be strong, blah blah blah. So I mean they just basically kind of got me into lifting because like just like small changes in my physique at that time. You're a high school kid, you're like, you know, pumped about it. Yeah. And they also brought me to like that top of the football team as far as like strength goes. So I was like, yeah, you know, put me in like, you know, top so many of that, and I was like, you know, this is sick. And they showed me like a different side of training from what we were doing with football, because nothing against football coaches, but most of the time if you're a football coach, you're a football coach. You're not, you know, So it was just a different side of it, and they showed me like what training could actually be and how to make it like more fun, and you know, and they showed me like just their passion for it, and they kind of like made me get really into it, kind of, you know. So when I went to college then, I had never done any programming before. So I didn't know how to program, so I started running this program by this guy named Zach Hummel, and it was a powerlifting program that somebody gave me. And I was like, sure, I'll give it a try. And I got like the biggest jumps in my strength ever, obviously, first ever powerlifting program I'd ever done. So I was like, oh dude, this is sick. Ran another one by him, and I was like, kind of stalled out, you know, because it was just like, general programs are good, but like once you get to a point, you need more specific stuff. So I got to that point, and I was like, man, so I started programming for myself and stuff, and then, but like basically those guys that I met in high school, and then my love for sports brought me to college to work on programming. And then when I was going through those classes, that's when I was like, everything just kind of clicked from like, I knew I wanted to kind of go into like an exercise route, but I didn't know what I wanted to do with it. Things kind of clicked, and then but even through that college and stuff, I never really saw myself teaching classes. Like as hard and as crazy as it is, I was like, I'm gonna make like a living off of solely personal training, because I did not want to teach classes. Don't want to do it. Didn't sound for me. Not really like a group of people at a time kind of person. So I was like, yeah, not really for me. But then when I got here through my internship, and I started working with Mike, and then I started doing like sports performance with Sam. I was like, I don't know, it's like a different side being away from. In class I'd ever seen was what at a Crunch Fitness, a Planet Fitness type class. It's like